Hello, Lovelace, and welcome to today's maths lesson. As you can see, we're moving away from fraction subtraction. Today, we're going to have a go at multiplying fractions. Now, today we're just multiplying fractions by an integer, so we're multiplying them by a whole number. Now, as long as you remember everything that we've done about common denominators and equivalents, you'll have no problem at all with this. In some ways, multiplication is actually easier than addition and subtraction of fractions. But as always, let's start with a little warm-up. Can you match the calculations on the left to the calculations on the right? Which ones are the same? Have a think. Okay, well, the first one, 5 times 2. That's exactly the same as saying 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. And the reason we're reminding you of that is because if you think of multiplication as repeated addition with fractions, it will make a lot more sense. So 5 lots of 2 is exactly the same as saying 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, 5 times. So what about 0 times 6? There it is. It's like saying 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0. 9 times 3? There you go. It's 3 lots of 9. It's adding 9 3 times. And finally, 4 lots of 1/5. Here it goes. This is what feeds into today. 4 times 1/5 is exactly the same as saying 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5. Okay, so already you might be able to work out what 4 times 1/5 is, even before we've started. By thinking about it as an addition, a repeated addition, then hopefully it's starting to make a bit of sense. Right, Alex has got 4 pieces of wood, and each piece of wood is 1/7 of a meter long. How long is all of Alex's wood? Have a think. Well, there it is. There's the 4 pieces, and each one is 1/7 long. So he's got 4 times 1/7, or he's got 1/7 plus 1/7 plus 1/7 plus 1/7. So altogether, he has got 4 sevenths. So 4 times 1/7 is 4/7, and 1/7 plus 1/7 plus 1/7 plus 1/7, 4 lots of, is 4/7. Okay, so 1/7 plus 1/7 plus 1/7 plus 1/7 is 4/7. And equally, 4 lots of 4 times 1/7 is 4/7. It's the same calculation. We know that multiplication is the same as repeated addition. It's the same answer. What about this one? 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. Sorry, 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 is the same as 1/4 times what? And then what's the final answer? Well, we've got 3 1/4s there. So 1/4 times 3 is 3/4. 1/3 plus 1/3 is the same as 2 lots of 1/3, 2 times 1/3. And the answer is, there's 2 lots of 1/3. Altogether, it's 2/3. Now, I know these are really, really basic at this point, but it's just to highlight how multiplication works with fractions and how by thinking about it as a repeated addition, it starts to just make sense a little bit. What about 1/10 times 5? Well, there's my bar model in tenths. There's 5 of them. So 5 lots of 1/10. My answer is 5/10, which simplifies, of course, to a half. Let's have a go. Very straightforward. We should be able to rattle through these. So number 1, complete the calculations. You can use bar models if you need to. I'm not sure you will. 2, complete these multiplications. 3 is, can you match from each side? Match one from the left to one from the right. And 4, a pizza is cut into 6. If Jack eats 5 of the slices, write this as a multiplication. Okay. Pause the video. Away you go. Well, there you go. I'm sure most of us have not needed a bar model for these. If you've got 3 1/5, then your answer is 3/5. And as a multiplication, that's 3 times 1/5. If you're adding 4 1/7, that's 4 sevenths, or 4 times 1/7. If you're adding 5 eighths, then your answer is 5 eighths, or 5 times 1/8 is 5 eighths. And finally, if you're adding 7 1/10, then you've got 7 tenths, or 7 times 1/10 is 7 tenths. Question 2, your answers: 3 eighths, 3 tenths, 5 eighths, 9 tenths, 4 fifths, 8 ninths, 8 elevenths, and 10 elevenths. And then for question 3, a third plus a third is the same as 2 times a third. A fifth plus a fifth plus a fifth is the same as 3 times 1/5. A fifth plus a fifth is the same as 2 times a fifth, and a quarter plus a quarter plus a quarter is the same as a quarter times 3. Now, with the pizza, Jack eats 5 of the slices. So if the pizza was cut into 6, then he eats 5 lots of 1/6. 5 times 1/6 is 5/6. Right, 5 times 1/3. Shouldn't need to think for long. Well, let's look at it on a number line. There's our thirds. So 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3, and so on. A whole one is the same as 3/3. 2 whole ones is 6/3. So what about 5 lots of a third? Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 5 lots of 1/3 is 5/3. And we can turn that improper fraction into 1 and 2/3. Okay, so again, I am quite sure none of us need a number line to help us work that out. But it's really good to see it in that way, so that if a question is ever represented on a number line, then you've got an idea as to how it works. What about these 3? Have a think. Okay, first 2, nice and straightforward. 8 lots of a half is 8/2, 8 halves. We can turn that into a mixed number, or in particular, a whole number actually. 2 into 8 does 4 times. What about 1/6 times 14? Well, that's going to be 14/6. Turn that improper fraction into a mixed number, and you've got 2 and 2/6. But the 2/6 will simplify, and we've got 2 1/3. What about this last one? 1/9 times something is 2. Well, let's look at it in a bit more detail. First thing we need to do is work out what 2 is in ninths. Well, 2 as a whole one is the same as 18 ninths. So we've got our common denominator. So 1/9 times something is 18 ninths. There's our 1/9. And there's 18 ninths. We needed 18 lots of them. 18 lots of those will make that. Okay, have a think about these. Again, the missing number is in the question. First one, we have got our common denominator, but we've got a whole one. How does that affect things? The second one, we've got different denominators. So the first one, well, 1 3/8 is the same as 11/8. So we do need to turn it into an improper fraction if we're going to make sense of this. So 1/8 times what is 11/8? Well, 11. 11/8 is 11/8. And then for this one, first of all, let's get our common denominator of 6. So 1 and 4/6. Then let's turn that into an improper fraction. So we've got something times 6, 1/6 equals 10/6. Well, 10/6 equals 10/6. Okay. Right, your turn. I'll get myself out of the way. Pause the video. Have a go at these. Right, here are your answers. Complete these multiplications. Use the number lines to help you. Give each answer as an improper fraction and as a mixed number. So 6 times 5 is 6/5, and that becomes 1 and 1/5. 9 times 1/5 is 9/5, which is 1 and 4/5. Question 6. We've got 11 tenths, which is 1 and 1/10. 11 ninths, which is 1 and 2 ninths. 11/8, which is 1 and 3/8, 11/7, which is 1 and 4/7, and 11/6, which is 1 and 5/6. And question 7, the missing numbers: 2 times a third is 2/3. 3 times a third is a whole one. Remember, that's a whole one is 3/3. So 3 times a third is 3/3. 7 times a seventh is a whole one. 1/7 times 10 is 1 and 3/7. Hopefully, you've turned that into an improper fraction. 1 and 3/7 is 10/7. So 1/7 times 10. E is 1/8 times 11, give you 1 and 3/8. 7 times a half is 3 1/2. 10 times a third is 3 1/3. And a quarter times 13 will give you 3 1/4. Each time, you need to convert the mixed number into an improper fraction so you can work back through the question. Well done if you've done those. That's our first dipping our toes into the water of multiplication of fractions. Well done if you've understood that and you've got most of those correct. That's the end of today. So as usual, look after yourself, take care of those around you, and I will see you very soon.